So, the goal for today's lesson is to walk through the songwriting process in real time. So Mr. Avant is here, and the two of us together are going to be writing a song, and you're going to help us out with it. So the idea is, in a short amount of time, given a good process, you can get a lot of things done with your songwriting creation. And we may not get the entire song done today, but we're at least going to get like a verse and a chorus. We're going to get the basic idea. And hopefully you guys will help us chime in. So Mr. Avant, you want to go and stand here? We'll kind of talk together. So, like we said with the last class, we can look at the verse, and the lyrics, we can look at the chords, or we can look at the melody. Now, Mr. Avant and I have never written a song together before. We've both written songs, but never written together, and we had no prior planning in today's lesson. So what you're going to see is something that's actually like a live experiment. You know, we don't know if this is going to work out. It may, you know, crash and burn, and then we have a good, really opportunity to explore what happens when you don't have immediate success, right? But the idea is you'll get to see what this process looks like in real time. And periodically, you can put stuff in the chat, or you can unmute and just talk, and you can toss us some ideas. There might be some times where we ask you guys for some stuff specifically as well. So, with that in mind, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So last time we talked about there's a couple different ways we can approach it. We can approach it starting with lyrics, we can approach it starting with chords, or we can approach it starting with melody. Do you have any strong feelings about one way to start it or another?
So historically, ways I've written songs go between all three ways.
Right, same here.
So the way I describe it is, say if I have like a really profound lyric, I'll ask myself, okay, what adjective does that lyric or lyrics kind of impose upon the listener?
Right.
I'm like, so if it's sort of like a sad or longing one, I'm obviously probably going to start with minor chords. That's the first thing it tells me, is that I'm not going to give a strong sense of anything too happy musically,
right? Because
it doesn't really tie in too well with what's going on lyrically.
So without having the chords or the lyrics first, which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with chords.
Let's start with some chords first. So without knowing what our lyrics are going to be, we can kind of choose a general direction of happy versus sad, like we talked about in our last lesson. So are we thinking more happy or more sad? You know, it's 2020. It's kind of all the songs are sad right now. We can stay on topic and stay on theme, or we can break the mold. You know, what do you think?
I'm thinking let's do
or a little bit of both.
I want to do a little bit of both. So the thing I want to describe is maybe it's inside of sad, or something that we could use in a minor chord progression.
Okay.
There's things that can give variances between things like sad or longing or, you know, like angry. Like, for instance, like if something's a little bit angry and you want to use like a minor chord progression, what will create that difference is oftentimes things like speed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Minor and slow and soft will often be sad. Minor and fast and loud will often be angry, right? Not necessarily, but those are kind of generalities.
Yeah. So think about songs like Say Something. You guys have ever heard that song by Christina Aguilera and A Great Big World? That's a minor key song. It's very slow, and it does give that sense of longing or sadness. And then you can look at songs like Numb by Linkin Park, which are also minor chords or minor chord progressions, and that is a little bit quicker, a little bit chords progress a little bit faster, and it's going to give more sense of, you know, bite or like a little bit of anger or angst, and most of that is because of the intensity and speed and drive that's behind it, rather than it just being about the progression itself.
Okay, so these are some minor chords that they should all know, and these are some major chords that they should all know, and they do work in the same key like we talked about last time. So do we want to pick from some of these?
Yeah, let's see. I'll give a couple of default ones, or one or two. E minor is always a really good start.
Okay. And then if you want to have this sort of sense of hopefulness, E minor going to G or E minor going to C has a kind of feeling in that direction.
C's a really good default one for coming from.
And then we could go there's a super iconic progression that goes E minor, C, G, D, right? That's a super, super common iconic progression. And you know what? I don't think there's any problem with us picking that progression today. If we hate it, we can always change it. In the future, we're going to explore a whole list of songs that uses this exact progression. So why not? We can preview it a little bit now. Okay, so these are our chords. And right now we're just going to play them on the piano for a second and kind of get a general feeling for them. So here's our E minor. Here's our C. Here's our G. Here's our D. Here it is again. Okay, tell me in the chat or unmute and talk, how are you feeling about that chord progression? You feel like there's some good stuff that comes out of that? I see some nods on screen, some thumbs up. Yeah, sounds nice, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, I think it's a hit with the audience, okay? So we're gonna go with that progression. This was just the idea of like, we want it to be kind of sad, but not entirely sad. What makes this chord progression feel sad is that it starts right off on a minor chord. All the rest of the chords are major. These are super, super happy chords. But because we start on that minor chord, it makes us feel a little bit sad. Okay, so we kind of go, like you said before, two directions, more sad and melancholy, or more driving and biting. Okay, so our two options, the sad and melancholy, I'm going to just make it even more sad than what we did before, but going just a little slower and a little softer. I could even do some embellishments. Something like that. So that's more sad direction. Then there's also the more bitey, rock, kind of angry up. Something like that. Okay, so just kind of two general directions you can go with the same chord progression. Notice that I didn't change the actual tempo too much. I was still changing chords at about the same amount of time, but I was filling up the space with a whole lot more. Okay, the tempo only got slightly faster, but the rhythm got a lot faster and more complicated. So Mr. Avant, what are you feeling today? A little more of the sad progression? A little more melancholy, wistful, or more of the like driving, aggressive, a little bit more angry?
I'm feeling something a little bit driving and aggressive. I want to wake people up this morning.
Okay, Chad, how we feel about that? Yeah? Yeah, we got some people in your boat there. Okay, so we're going to go with this chord progression and a little bit more driving sort of feeling to it. Okay, we can work on the exact rhythm later. But the reason that I wanted to decide on kind of those two general directions, and FYI, major, you can have the same sort of thing. You can have a driving and aggressive major. In fact, a lot of metal songs, the chorus is in major.
True.
Right? Yeah, so don't think that that's only a minor thing. And you can also have songs that are mostly major that are super sad songs, right? So you can kind of go different directions depending on what you want, regardless of what your key is. But minor very much lends itself to thinking in terms of kind of sad versus angry. Okay, so we're kind of go with the fast sort of angry thing. Let's put the chords off to the side for a second, and let's talk about our lyrics. So we said, you know, we're thinking in terms of adjectives, like Mr. Avant said a second ago. So we're thinking it's going to be fast.
And that's a loaded word right there, because sometimes the tempo might not be that fast. One thing that also controls it is how often we're going from one chord to another. That's going to be whether we're transitioning from every 2 beats or every 4 beats, sometimes even more than that.
Every 8 beats or...
Yeah, it's important to know that sometimes these are not all going to be even in the time that they spend. Like sometimes you'll get what we would write down as like an E minor, G, D. where the E minor would last twice as long as the other ones do, so you get that longer sense of minor before you get the other.
For sure. I'll here show you an example. So here's, instead of E minor and then C being of equal time. So the chords don't all have to be the same length either. So keep that in mind when we're fine-tuning this chord progression, that you can make them, I mean, almost any idea of lengths, though they usually follow some sort of pattern.
Sure.
Like if it's 2 beats and 2 beats and 4 beats, that works. Or if it's, 3 1 3 1 or 4 4 4 4 or 2 2 2 2, but it's not usually like 3 1 2 2 4 1 6. It's not something like that typically. It follows some sort of recurring pattern.
Yeah, you're never. The only thing that you're really not ever going to see is, say, the second chord right here. It's very, very rare when the second chord is also the third chord. Or this lasts twice as long. Most of the time, you're going to see this first one lasting twice as long, or the third one lasting twice as long.
Yeah, or if you only have 3 chords. The third would be the final one, lasting twice as long, right?
Yes.
But you're right. If there's 4 chords, it's rarely the second chord. If it's 3 chords, it's rarely the second chord. It's usually the first or the last or the first or the third. Okay, so we've got a fast rhythm, which may or may not be a fast tempo. We've got sort of an aggressive feeling. What are some other adjectives? Toss out some adjectives in the chat about how you want this to be. I think this is probably turning quickly into sort of a rock song. Okay, I see hope. Okay?
Hope.
So we start off dark and then we kind of have this hopeful nature too, right? Can we say hope amid, I'm going to spell correctly, darkness. Hashtag 2020. Okay? Someone says, all right, we're writing an Imagine Dragon songs. Yeah, they love this chord progression. Like that, that style. It's not always in this key.
Yeah.
But that, like,
this is
Demons is this, but in a different key.
Yeah, it is. And if you swap this E minor for A minor, this is how you play Radioactive.
Yeah. So there we go. Imagine Dragons, exactly. Good picking up on that. Okay, so I see hope. What else do we give us some more stuff in the chat? Some more ideas and thoughts and adjectives to go with, and we're going to start writing some lyrics on that. Okay. Passion. I love it. Passion. Okay. Passion. What else? Hoping for at least 2 more so we can kind of get some of your ideas. I told you would be part of this. We'd be writing a song that you help us decide. Rage. Ooh. Passion and rage are not too different from each other. Sometimes that's just the question of how it's directed.
Yeah, sometimes they're roommates.
Yeah, right. I've had some roommates with some rage issues. Yeah, for sure. Okay, all right. One more. Can we get one more from the chat? One more to add to a fast rhythm, aggressive, hope amid darkness, passion, rage, and whatever your idea is. They're thinking. That's okay. They've got a little writer's block too. Well, that's fine. Mr. Avant, take the chords and let's just write them over there off to the side. We'll use this space here to write some lyrics. Okay. So with this in mind, someone put in finality and empowerment. So that's nice. I like empowerment. That's good. That may not be like a super clear theme, but there's plenty of songs that I'd say that have the theme of empowerment. Pretty much any anthem, any rock anthem has an underlying theme of empowerment. Okay, so Mr. Avant, our job right now is to think about, based on what they've given us in the chat, what would be an appropriate theme for us to kind of overarching topics and whatnot for our song. We've got hope, we've got passion, rage, finality, empowerment.
So whenever I think about this, think about it from a lyrical standpoint, I'm seeing, okay, something has happened to you and you are trying to rise above it, and whether that thing that you're going to do might be a little bit resentful, it might lack a little bit of virtue, the aggressiveness makes it so that that's okay.
Right? Your character in the song it doesn't have to be always right.
Yeah.
Your character in the song can make mistakes, and the song can explore those mistakes.
Yeah. Sometimes whenever you have that aggression, lyrically, I wouldn't say it works against maybe the mood, but you don't want to be apologetic if the sound of the song is not apologetic.
Good, yeah. So the lyrics and the style of the song need to coincide. They need to make sense with each other. Okay, so rising above is kind of taking this idea of like passion and rage and hope and putting them all together. So do you want that to be the theme?
Yeah.
Okay, so our theme is going to be, well, I could put, yeah, let's put rising above. Okay, so now we're gonna spitball ideas, phrases, words, thoughts, just in this space right here. So nothing is, and feel free to toss into the chat. Nothing is bad, no wrong answers here.
So the very first line that kind of popped into my head the second that I saw all those was, I've had enough, I've reached my limit. And then you have to do an action. I was thinking about an action line. Like, what are we going to do because we are being put in that spot?
Good, and I'm thinking about precipitating event, like we talked about last time. Like something happened to put me into this place too. Mm-hmm. So our verse can talk about what's happened, and our chorus can talk about what we're doing to rise above. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've had enough. I've reached my limit. That to me feels like a verse. What do you think?
Yeah,
single line of a verse.
And then the next one.
It doesn't have to rhyme, doesn't have to fit scheme. We can just think about, okay, what sort of thoughts fit into this?
Yeah, so let's make it. We talked about A B rhyme scheme. Yes, y'all. I think so. Yes. Or second line.
Yeah.
So this second line right here will not necessarily have to rhyme with this one right here. We can have one line right here, the third line, which will rhyme with this first one, and then the fourth line below it will rhyme with the second one.
Right, so 1 and 2 don't rhyme, but 1 and 3 rhyme.
Yes.
2 and 4 rhyme. Like
so, I would say you're trying to escape something or get out of something, so I would say no going back, you can't persuade me.
Ooh, good.
Does that work with syllables? It looks like it. Enough. I've reached my limit. That's 9. No going back. You can't persuade me. Yeah, it's 8 and 9.
Yeah. So similar syllable count. Okay. So then now we're looking at our third line should mirror our first line. It should have the same sort of style and sense, and it should rhyme. So some things that rhyme with limit. It's not an exact rhyme, but give it might work because it fits some of the same.
I'm going numb because technically you would have to feel this. You would have to somewhat detach a little bit to rise above.
Okay. So first half of the line. I'm going numb.
Because I see this, I say, I've had enough.
Right, okay.
It's something that would be like,
oh, no, see, here's the thing. I don't think we should be numb here. Because if we're talking about rising above and we're talking about this passion and angry, this is working against it. So maybe by the end of this line, we're looking at something like, right?
Yeah.
Right. So let's go a different direction than numb. Let's go out of control. Let's go bursting out. let's think about moving on. Because if we're going numb, then it's an introverted sort of thing. It's an inside thing.
Yeah.
Right?
It depends on. It depends definitely on.
That's true. It could be
vantage
like
point.
just
like
tossing it away.
It could be one saying, I have to go numb so that I can rise above. Like this is something that is bad for me, so I have to detach in order to go that place. But what we could also say is, I like contain it. I like this.
It's a partial rhyme with limit. I've used the it at the end, and the N and the M are close enough that they can kind of function like a rhyme.
Because what I'm getting from this is that I think the goal of the verse, this is a really important thing to know whenever you do start writing the lyrics, is, okay, if these are verses and they're going along telling the story a little bit, what is the goal? Like whenever I start this verse until the verse ends, what am I trying to communicate? Am I trying to go from a place where I'm dormant to a place where I'm starting to rise above? Am I explaining the situation that's going on? You want to start developing a bigger picture for it, and obviously if you need to, after you write it, go back and edit it, be like, okay, that doesn't exactly match what I'm trying to communicate by the time the chorus comes, or the pre-chorus comes. So, that line right there.
And we may need a pre-chorus if we're not quite to where we want to be for the chorus.
Yeah, because once again, it's a vehicle that's going to take you to the chorus, and that's obviously a repetition thing, big mural picture of what the song is kind of all about.
Okay, so I'm going something, something, something. I can't contain it. You can't contain it.
So I would say I can't.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah, I can't contain it, and then.
I'm giving up. I can't contain it. Like
Yeah.
I'm giving up trying to control.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had enough. I've reached my limit. No going back. You can't persuade me. I'm giving up. I can't contain it. So we need something that is a rhyme or an approximate rhyme with that.
We could do persuade, and so we talked about relative rhyme, right? I would say forsake.
Okay. Okay.
You won't forsake.
Okay.
Me. You won't forsake me again.
Persuade me. Forsake me.
What to put for the first half now?
So the strategy of writing the end of the line first works really, really well, because then you know what your destination is, and your end has to rhyme. There's a lot more rules on what the line has to do at its ending than it does at its beginning. So very, very commonly when we're writing songs, we'll look at kind of our final points. In fact, one good exercise is to just pick 4 words that rhyme, either all with each other or 2 rhyming pairs. So I've had enough. I've reached my limit. No going back. You can't persuade me. I'm giving up. I can't contain it. Something, something, something.
This can be what they call a stinger line, which means that it's going to be something that you're, like a strong action that you're going to do that presses forward the rest of the song.
So because it's I, you, I, should this be you won't?
Yeah, we can do that.
So this is called parallelism in poetry, when you have 2 lines that sort of mirror each other's ideas. So this is an I line, a U line, an I line, and a U line. So the I line is saying what I am at or what I'm doing, and the U line is saying like what you won't do or can't do, things like that. So then right here we need a big, big theme, okay? I'm giving up, I can't contain it, something, 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 you won't forsake me. What am I doing here? Feel free to toss some ideas in the chat.
Yeah, definitely.
I see one from before. Scream, shout, livid. That's chorus material right there. Save the screaming for a little bit. I've even got, like, this could be the first I'm rising above, could be the first line of a chorus.
And like above and enough.
Uh-huh.
Soft rhyme.
I'm gonna write. I have a little
It's got
melody.
in it. Yeah, and so just to clear up, you guys, if you guys don't know what kind of soft rhyme is, like that's why I used enough and above, because it's got that nice on the exact same syllable. So if you were singing them, they're gonna have very similar melodies to them. So we're gonna
I mean, we're talking about
back.
Yeah, we
So
talked
back.
about enough and up, back, and
This would have to go with back. So,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, enough and up, back, and whatever this is.
technically, you could repeat that, and if you repeated it, that would be.
That's true. That's true.
And that's something that you'll see a lot. You'll have half lines that are like, they'll recapitulate the first line just to add a little bit more emphasis, like you're almost having to reassure yourself, no, I'm not going back. This is why, and this is the other reason. And each time it stacks, it's a little bit more intense than the previous time.
Something else I should point out that's going on here is that each line of our verse is treated like a sub-phrase. A sub-phrase is like a mini phrase inside your phrase. So while this is written as 4 lines, a lot of songs will almost make them function like 8. So I've had enough, I've reached my limit, no going back, you can't persuade me. That's almost like a 4-line stanza. If you look at Grenade we were looking at last week, it does that, where easy come, easy go. That's only the first half of the first line, but it kind of acts like its own phrase too. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you structure your verse that way, you can write it as a lot of little lines, and it'll look like your verse has very, very short lines. It'll look like a chorus, but it'll be super long. It'll be twice the length of a normal verse. It won't be 4 lines, it'll be 8 lines. Or it won't be 8 lines, it'll be 16. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, so, I mean, I'm pretty okay with this. We may wordsmith it a little bit later.
I'm hearing it like, so all these are going to be sung relatively similar. All of these right here, see where we have these common guys? These right here are all going to be
The
sung.
same musical material.
Yes, and
Yeah.
then these over here are going to be more or less. Now I think this last one right here might have a little something, might have a little tag or difference, just to kind of lead us to the next section of the song.
I was thinking these two have to be the same music.
Yes.
These two can be, this one can be the same as these, or this one can be the same as that. I think it works either one of those, but
I
these
agree.
two got to be the same. Okay, so that gives us a rough idea as to our verse. I think we can start looking at a verse melody right now, okay? So we're just going to return to our chords, okay? We're only about 15 minutes into our process, and we already have a chord progression, and we already have a first verse. So in 15 minutes, right? And we had to agree on stuff, right? You just have to argue with yourself. Okay, so here's our E minor chord, and then our C major chord, and then our G major chord. Were we thinking equal? Equal would be easier.
I think equal for now.
So do we want to do chord, 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 chord? Oh, if this is E and this is G, the musical material would be pretty much the same.
So I would say right on here would be the last line of, the last word of
Would be where the chord hits.
Yeah,
So
so-
these are all pickups.
So like if we're going like this fast, say like. Once again, you can pick it out by making it a little bit more aggressive by like. Or no, I think I would want the first chord to start right on the I.
Oh, okay. On or right before.
And then the C would
the C
start.
happens on enough.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going on. Oh, I've had enough, my bad.
My limit.
So, I've had enough. I've reached my limit.
There you go.
Yeah. No going back. You can persuade me.
Oh, you can persuade. So do the first one again. I've had enough. I've reached my limit. And that one down. Going back. You can persuade me. So we have a rise in the phrase for the second one.
That you can persuade me.
No, say that for 4.
Oh, okay,
We do that one for the 4th one. So we're going lower, little higher, lower, highest still, so we build in intensity. That's a good one for the fourth one.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
so back to the beginning. I've had enough. I've reached my limit. Oh, go down. I've reached my limit. Or something like that.
I've reached my limit.
No going back. You can't persuade me. I'm going up. I said contain it. Something where you go down.
Yeah. So
No.
yeah, I can't.
I'm giving up. I can't contain it. No going back. You won't forsake me. Or something where you're going up in pitch there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You won't forsake me again.
Yeah, I like that. I like
You can
that.
put again.
Ooh,
at the
like
end.
again? That's good.
And then that again would flow into the next section.
So this is, sometimes you'll have a word that stands outside of the prose, that stands outside of the normal structure of it, and it's a little extra tag. This works really well if you have an interlude and you want the lyrics to overlap on the interlude. Okay? So I think that's really good. We ended this line kind of going down in pitch. We did this line kind of medium in pitch. This line went down in pitch. And then this line went up in pitch. Let's try that again. Let's run it 3 or 4 times so we can get a sort of feeling for what that looks like.
1, 2, ready, go. I've had enough. I've reached my limit. No going back. You can't persuade me. I'm giving up.
Second verse, for the second, no going back. For the second time we do that because we need to vary it a little bit for the second verse. No going back.
So, no going back.
You won't forsake me again. Something like that.
Yeah, then in that case, if we're gonna go, and this is important to know. So if you're gonna have one of those really, really dramatic kind of builds on that last line, if we're gonna, depending on how high or intense you're gonna build it, that'll decide if you're gonna have a pre-chorus, if you're gonna go straight into the chorus.
Good point there. So we have to measure how intense we get with this. If we want to put an entire pre-chorus section, we've got to rein this in. If we don't want a pre-chorus section, we've got to ramp this up. So tell me in the chat. Okay, we got a couple little things. It sounds like an already established song. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. Hey, that's professional musicians. When you do this enough times, it comes quickly. Yeah, so we're at less than 20 minutes, and I think we have a pretty workable song right now. So tell us, do you want a pre-chorus or do you not want a pre-chorus? Okay, so if we have a pre-chorus, we can end this as low as we need, right? No going back, you won't forsake me, or you won't forsake me, or you won't forsake me. Any of those kind of things work if we do have a pre-chorus. If we don't have a pre-chorus, this has to lead us right into the chorus, so it needs to be no going back, you won't forsake me, or something like that, where it gets bigger and higher. Right?
Okay, I think I have one.
Okay.
If we're gonna go into a chorus, okay. So I'm giving up. I can't contain. No going back. You won't forsake me again. And then I wouldn't hold out the note like that, but it'd go into the chorus. And while that note is flowing out, whenever we cut that note off, the next section would enter as soon as that note is over.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I love those notes so much. I want those notes to be part of our chorus.
Okay.
Can you sing those notes? And I'm rising above. Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay? Right? I'm rising above. Right? I think that's our chorus hook, right? He just sung it there and he's like, this would be a great way to lead into the chorus. I'm like, no, that's our chorus, right?
Oh, yeah.
So here's our thing, right? So that actually fits with the chord progression we've been using.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even have to change chords. Okay? So, no going back, you won't forsake me, I'm rising above, I'm not giving up, you can, or something like that, right? So moving on and moving upward, right? Okay? Thoughts? What do you...
No, I like it.
Okay.
I think that's catchy. That's good.
Okay. Yeah. It's super simple, right?
This is gonna be stuck in my head all day.
Yeah. The trick is, all we did was we moved higher in pitch, and we used longer notes, right? And we decided way long ago this would be our core theme, so that ends up being here. Okay. So let's see. So what can we rhyme with above, right? I said I'm not giving up, which was terrible because earlier I said I'm giving up, right? Okay.
Love would be the one that would be like a soft.
Okay.
We could put a list just right there.
Above, love. You can't have my love.
I'm trying to avoid being Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I know, right. Okay. For us to be Taylor Swift, the song would have to be all about our ex-boyfriends. So,
That's true.
Yeah, that's not
true.
going to happen. Yeah. Don't date Taylor Swift. You'll end up in a song.
That's true. And you won't get royalties for it being about you.
I know,
That's
right?
the worst part.
Yeah. Okay, so don't do that. Okay, so love above.
Shove is bad.
Yeah, shove is bad. Don't do shove. No one's getting pushed in front of a car or off a cliff. Okay. Let's see. I mean, we've said up before, so I don't want to use up. I don't want to use too many of the same up vowels.
Technically, you could do what's called syllabic rhyming. Like, you could technically use the word cover.
Cover. Yeah,
and the
okay.
R would not technically, it would be after what the rhyme scheme would be.
Yeah, you string out the first syllable so long that the second syllable kind of gets lost.
Yeah, and that's a mark of a good songwriter. If you know how to use that in a really intricate way and make it so that it doesn't interrupt the rhyme scheme, it'll open up kind of the amount of words that you can use without interrupting anything. And so for you songwriters, pay close attention to this technique, because it's one of the better things that you can know how to do in songwriting, lyrically at least.
Okay, so maybe this should be the third line. Maybe we should have our A-B that we did in the... Or should we do three of the same and one different? Should we have a different rhyme scheme here?
I think maybe the last one doesn't need to be at all even tied.
Right, A-B is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Three of the same and one different.
I think if we're going to do something sort of oblong, I think that should be it.
Okay, so... Okay, what do we think? How do we get the line to end with something that rhymes with above? With love, with cover, with something like that. You know, Google words that rhyme with love. And it's like 18,000, I'm sure. We're just not thinking of any. Tell us how we should end this next line to rhyme with above. It could be these words. It could be something different. And how do we get there? So it's all about I'm rising up. it's all about a change that's happening. It's about a change of perspective. It's about a change of point of view. It's about a change of action. It's about doing something different. Okay? So clearly, this person is at their end, right? Okay? So they're walking away from this, whatever, this relationship or whatever, and they're rising above it. What does that mean for them? What's the emotional context of them? Right? Ooh, free of.
So you say free
So
of.
the third line could end with free of, and then like a one word for the final line.
Uh-huh.
Right? So free of you. Right? Okay? So.
Sounds like Stevie Nicks post like 1969.
Yeah, there's some anger there. There's some anger there for sure. I don't need your love.
I'm rising above. I want to be a strong action to follow it.
Yeah.
Escaping your love.
Oh, I like that. I'm finally free of. No, because I feel like we haven't developed it enough. We need to have something else.
You could do something double timed. Because like what I'm hearing is I'm rising up, escaping your love. Yeah, whenever I think about that, if you guys have ever heard the song "This Is Gospel" by Panic at the Disco. It's kind of like, if you love me, let me go. If you love me, let me go. And then after that, the second half of the chorus is, because these words are nice enough to leave scars. Like that, it kind of doubles up. And then that part rhymes. So like it could be like I'm seeing that it needs speed.
Yeah. I feel like we've turned it in. It's a lot more ballady than what we were first thinking.
But it has the opportunity to really.
Oh, we can take this idea. Mind you, if you write it slow, because you're like me and your brain works a little better slow than it does fast. If you write it slow, you can always take it and just speed it up and make it more rhythmically complex.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. So hang with us there. So I feel like this third line needs to be the melodic peak. Something like that, where it peaks to that third line. I feel like this is building, and this line can taper up. I'm rising above, escaping your love.
You can go way up there.
Right. Oh, that could be a good second chorus sort of thing. So the first.
Depends on how virtuosic you want to go with it. It depends on how much you've worked up your range.
Right, okay. So, but anyway, that kind of goes up, that kind of goes down. What's the big point? Okay, I'm rising above. Tell us in the chat. I'm rising above. Okay. What happens? What's the crucial moment here? You're rising above, and then what is different because of it? This is the most important part of our whole song right here.
I say we let them decide.
This is our most important part, chat. It is on you. It is on you, chat. We need you. We need you to tell us what the most important part of our song is, because we had this idea, look, above, love, something, 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 free of you. Right? So you got about a line and a half that you got to write. I'm rising above, escaping your love, something, 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 free of you. We got the, I don't know. Everyone else is still thinking.
He says not a line, but something about getting to be myself. That's
Okay.
good. That's really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, that's a great idea. Because he said that's not a line. He just that's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
something
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. I like that. Find myself free of you at the end.
I would say like that has a lot to describe. So like in that you'd have to describe like what kind of you're gonna do to get back to yourself. Which in my mind I like that idea even more because they said use the word true.
Ooh.
But yeah, like it takes more explanation. So I would say if we are gonna, we can go up in melody as well. But I would say it needs a little bit more melodic movement right
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
It's gonna need to go a little bit faster.
Okay.
So if they're wanting to use true, we could use the word true to talk about our true selves or getting back to ourselves or what we used to know ourselves as.
Yeah. So I've found myself. I've returned to myself. So if we want to do it, something like that, where we go up to the tonic and then down to the tonic. Okay.
That could be like a standalone.
Yeah.
And it could be slow, but I want to give like two kind of like
two
faster.
other lines before we get to here. Okay, so we'll move it down a little bit here. Okay, so I'm rising above, escaping your love.
I found myself this much is true.
Ooh, I like that.
I found myself this much is true. And I'm forgetting about you and that's it. Myself this much is true and I'm forgetting about you and
then we can't end this with.
Oh yeah, we can't. Much is true. Give us another rhyme word.
Okay, yeah.
We're gonna use you as the last one, and we just used true. So
maybe we shouldn't use true, so we can have two different rhymes, and then we end with you as a standalone.
I mean, I would say it works either way. It could be a standalone rhyme scheme wise. It's already a standalone melodically.
Yeah.
I would say because I think it's cool whenever you can triple up on it. So that would mean it's like an A B B B, which is also it's really really common. Like it's extremely common. At the end of the day, the only rule against this is if it sounds like there needs to be a spot where it rhymes and it doesn't. It seems like the scheme has a hole in it, like a really obvious one. Then I would reassess it. So I'll be like, rising up, escaping your love. I found myself this much is true. Yeah. I like this melody. I found myself this much is true. I found myself this much is true. And
finally am over you.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you though. That gets me every time too.
And finally I'm over you. Something. So we need another line in here. We need a 6-line chorus.
I mean, it could be that. I would say that, but it would just need to be different lyrics. And this is a good opportunity, guys. A lot of the time, the last line of the chorus is a really good thing, a line or words to use for naming the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to look for motifs that are really visible. That's if you want to name the song based off of anything that's in the lyrics, or if you want to name it on a concept that the whole song encompasses. Like, for instance, I've written songs that are both ways that have the name of the song in the lyrics, and then most recently, I named the song Rose Gold because, you know, the word rose gold or anything about gold or anything like that's not in the song, but it's like a hidden metaphor that is what the whole song is about. And so if you're going to name it about the lyrics or not, it doesn't matter. But if you are, last line of the chorus is honestly a pretty good spot to look.
For sure. First or last line of the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
Usually
Definitely.
where you find titles. Okay, so I'm rising above, escaping your love. I found myself, this much is true, and finally I'm over you.
And with
you. Okay.
So I'm gonna repeat it.
I'm over you. Something about like.
It'll be like this. It'll rhyme. It'll rhyme with this, but it will have the melody of this.
Right. So maybe I'm rising above again without you.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's honestly awesome.
Let's try that. So, what would this look like? I'm rising above, escaping your love. I found myself, this much is true, and finally I'm over you. I'm rising above without you. Something like that, right? I don't know. Chat, tell us. What do you think? We've got, okay. I'm not afraid to become new.
That's a little wordy.
Yeah.
Right there. I'm rising above.
Oh, I think they're saying instead of this line.
Oh, okay.
I kind of like, if rising above is our thesis statement, I kind of like this happening again.
Yeah, and that's really common as well. Beginning and ending chorus with the same line.
Oh, wait.
That needs to have
Wait. So, I found myself, this much is true, and finally I'm over you. I'm rising above you. What do you think? Is that good? I see some nods. Yeah. Okay. Let's test it out. Okay, so.
You want me to sing it?
Sure. Ready?
Okay.
You got the verse one?
Yeah. Here we go. 1,
2, 3, 4. Something like that, something along those lines. We did run into a little bit of a problem where, this can't lead into that. So we either need an interlude or a pre-chorus or something like that. unless we just take the again off.
Yeah. The again sounds so cool coming off of it.
Well, maybe the again happens in the second verse. And the second verse
Maybe.
can hold that out while the chorus starts over it.
That's true.
Or for the bridge. This could be for the bridge.
And then it leads right in.
Yeah. Okay. So here, we're going to put that in parentheses and we'll think about that for a second. Okay. All right. Let's run it one more time. Do you want it faster? Or do you just want it more rhythmically complex?
Yeah.
We want repeated chords or arpeggios? Yeah, or do we want...
Yeah, that's more strictly driven. I've had enough. I've reached my limit. No going back. You can persuade me. I'm going now.
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Let's hear it, chat. Let's hear it. Release date.
Release date.
Release date.
I'm gonna have to talk to my manager. I'm scared.
Yeah. Sorry. So we're gonna have to consult with our agents. They don't let us make any decisions on our own. Okay. So I think really strong. We kept the same tempo. We kept the same chords. We kept the same idea. We got more rhythmically complex. Once his notes started getting more, started getting longer, I had to do more with my part. I had to fill in the gaps more. When he was just lots and lots of notes, I could be much more simple, right? When he started to hold out long notes, it had to be, right? There had to be more going on. What you don't want to happen is you get to the chorus of the song and it just falls flat. It just dies, right? I think this is good. Do we want to try to sketch out a bridge or a second verse? We got a little bit of time.
I would say probably spend the rest of the time discussing what a second verse would be like and what nuances are valid and how.
Good point. So we talked last time about how second verses kind of take the next step in the story. And I think some of the best songs are the ones in which the second verse can recontextualize the chorus, which the chorus doesn't actually change, but you have a totally different insight to the chorus, right? So, I've had enough, I've reached my limit, no going back, you can't persuade me, I'm giving up, I can't contain it, no going back, you won't forsake me. This is all talking about something happened that says, that's it, I'm done. Maybe it's a toxic or abusive relationship, maybe someone was unfaithful, maybe someone's just cruel or mean or whatever, and then you're saying, instead, this is important, okay? You are angry here. The verse, there's a lot of anger there, right? You don't say words like, I've had enough, when you're happy, unless you're talking about like food. Oh, no, thank you, no more.
Oh, yeah.
I've had enough, right? Okay? But then when you get to the chorus, you could be angry at that person still, but I don't think you are anymore. I think you found a point of arrival where you're saying, you know what? I'm going to be the bigger person here. I'm going to move on. It's going to be without you. It's going to be for my benefit. So the second verse could be things about like your new perspective, right? It could be about you're not returning to this dark place that
Yeah.
you were in before.
And there's two big options that I use historically. So like, see how this is sort of vague. It doesn't really say why they're being that way. It's just assuming that they are being that way. You could use the second verse to be more specific, like saying, or you could change it to from I've, as we see here, to you, like maybe things that they did that feed the point.
Right.
So you can swap from the first person to the second person.
Yeah.
To give better context. So whenever this comes back in again, they're like, oh, that's why they feel that way.
Very good point. Very good point. So songs, let's talk about vagueness versus specificity. This is an important topic that most people don't talk about. Ideally, your song should be just specific enough that people have a good grasp of the story, the characters, the ideas, but so vague that everyone can listen to that song and say, that's my story.
Mm-hmm.
That happened to me.
Making it relatable is an important selling point.
So be really careful. I'm 100%. We need to give more details to our story, because the more details you give your audience, the more emotionally invested they're going to be. But if you give too many details, you talk about, in chemistry class, blah, blah, blah happened. Well, wait a second. Maybe not everyone who's listening to your song is in chemistry class, right? So be careful about how much details. But what are some things that we can talk about in the second verse? We can talk about things that person did.
So you could, initially, we've had Ives. It says, you did this. You made me feel this way. You did, you know what I mean?
So
you could swap it.
So like, maybe the first line is, you stole my love, you were unfaithful.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. That's perfect.
You stole my love, you were unfaithful.
Yeah.
That tells me a whole lot of information about my second verse. It's like, aha.
Yeah.
Romantic relationship, they cheated on you. Automatically,
Bam.
I have a whole different context for what this second part is, right? And then at some point in time, you rhyme unfaithful with something else, I don't know, hopeful or whatever, So think about what that second line looks like, what that second section looks like. And then, ideally, if you do it right, your chorus then has a totally new context, because not only you're rising above, wow, you're rising above that, I would get even. I would get angry, and you're choosing to move on. Like, good for you. Like, that's a whole new context for it. So I think that the way we worked this out, we didn't really need a pre-chorus. I think it leads well into the chorus. But do we want a bridge? Something that's going to be different.
I think that, yes, this song needs a bridge, because it's important to obviously talk about the way that the song communicates all the way through. And so if we're looking for an outlet, like we say, I'm rising above, I would use the lyrics in the bridge to describe, okay, well, if this is sort of past tense.
This is past.
Yeah.
I have.
What did I do, and how am I doing now that I have escaped?
Ooh.
Like on the bridge, you could say, I'm better off now. I'm blah, 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 blah.
Can we make the bridge future tense?
Yeah.
If this is past tense and this is present tense, so I see all the ings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the bridge could be future tense.
Yes.
I will.
Or I am.
Or I am. Ooh, I am is good.
It could be, yeah. And or I'm gonna live my best life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
okay.
love myself more every day. Blah blah
Okay.
blah blah
Here,
blah.
we're just gonna spitball these ideas, okay? So. Live my best life.
Those wouldn't be necessarily lyrics. It'll just be like
Right.
like a concept.
Love myself.
Mm-hmm. Find someone that treats me right.
Yeah.
So like something like this would be like where you want to get really, if there was one part of the song that gets a little bit more specific than the other ones do, you'll want it to be this one.
Yeah.
This is where it says like, okay, like after the first verse was a little bit vague, and then second verse explaining it. What if that's the tension right there, and then you talking about the release? The bridge should communicate the release.
I think we have almost a bridge here.
You think?
Yeah. I got something in my head. Something, say. I'm just gonna live my best life, love myself more every day, find someone who treats me right, da 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 da, say I'm rising above.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, say, okay, I'll wordsmith that in a second. Different chords. So we should...
Well, technically, you could release it to the major.
Yeah.
Tension release. I would say 4-chord first, probably.
Yeah. So let's see. So
maybe C, C, D, G, G, or C, G, D, E minor.
So we just can't. Maybe C to G, C, D. C, G, C, D.
C, G, C, D.
So.
Treat me right. I was about to say B.
Oh, B.
B7.
Oh.
B major.
Oh, okay.
That you know how good that goes back.
Okay. So. Okay. So coming from the chorus, it helps to review your chorus before you figure out what your bridge is, because that's the context of your chorus. So the okay, so we just came from above. I'm gonna live my best life. Yeah. I'm gonna live my best life. I love myself more every day. Find someone who treats me right. And now I'm calling you to say I'm rising above. And now I'm calling you to say?
No.
So I'm gonna live my best life. I love myself more every day. Find someone who treats me right. And now I'm calling you to say I'm rising. Something like that.
Yes.
Okay. So let's test it in context. We'll do the whole chorus. If you want, you can sing the chorus, and then I'll pop in on the bridge.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the chorus right before the bridge. Ready, 2, 3, 4. I'm like that, right? Something along those lines, right? Okay. So this would be our first verse. This would be our chorus. So, what's the title of the song? Rise Above?
Yeah, seems like it. It seems like we got it a little bit earlier than.
Yeah. It doesn't always come
Most
from.
times.
It doesn't always come from like the theme, but I think it did this.
Personally, I don't name the song until I'm like pretty much done with it.
Yeah, I don't name it until I have a really good idea of what's going on. So this is the verse. Yeah, I'm going to erase.
But you know, who's to say? I mean, like you might like the first thing that might pop into your head is a song name.
Yeah, and then that becomes like your theme, right? That's happened with people. They're like, it pops in, like, here's the idea, here's the theme, here's the name. So here's verse. Here's chorus. Here's bridge. So yeah, that's the idea. Let's run what we've got so far. We're just going to run verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. There would be theoretically a second verse here, but we don't have it yet, right? So, but let's. You want to sing? You want me to sing? You want to do verse?
You can sing the bridge if you want.
I'll do the bridge. You do the verse and the chorus.
Okay.
Okay. Ready? I feel like it needs an intro. Just something simple. So I'll give you 4 bars. So. Okay, right. That sound good? Yeah, cool. So I'll give you 4. I was going a little too slow. I'm going to speed up.
I was going half.
Yeah. So, about that time. Okay. Do you want to go faster? Or
No,
do you
like
that?
That was tricky.
Something like that tempo.
I've reached my limit. No going back. You can't persuade me. I'm giving up. I can't contain it. No going back. You won't forsake me. I'm rising above. Escaping your love. I found myself this much is true. Finally I'm over you. I'm rising above. I'm just gonna live my best life. I love myself more every day. Find someone who treats me right. And now I'm calling you to say I'm rising above. Escaping your love. I found myself this much is true. Finally I'm over you. I'm rising
So something along those lines. Hopefully this was really helpful. Hopefully this gave you some idea as to what can be accomplished in a very, very short amount of time.
Someone called the fire department. Me and Mr. D just made some flame.
Right. So this is less than an hour and a half, and we put together an entire song minus the second verse. And we already got some really good ideas as far as what the second verse would look like.
Absolutely.
I played around with some thoughts on an outro, right? All I did was kind of break the chords up a little bit for an intro and an outro. If my chords are E, C, G, and D. I just sort of arpeggiated them, just picked one note of the chord. And for the outro, I just took that shape and I flipped it around. I just took the same idea, just flipped it upside down for the outro. And so that gives you some ideas. That could be your entire song, right? You could play it on the piano like we did today, just because it's easier to write and play than with a guitar.
You could just as quickly.
You could just as quickly play it on guitar.
Yeah, you could throw some distortion on that guitar, get a drum set, and you could make that into like a pretty sick ballad.
You wouldn't even need like distortion, just your standard, you know.
Oh yeah, you can play it on anything.
Right? Just a lot of big, heavy bass on the acoustic guitar.
You can get whatever you need. You can do it on any instrument as long as it's played with vigor. Right. It has to match it. It has to match the adjective of the song.
So sing the chorus again. Ready? Right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So softer playing is going to be accompanied by softer singing.
Right. So, I mean, and I didn't do anything crazy there. I was just alternating between all downstrokes and all up and down strokes. And because it's a rock song on an unamped, unmiked acoustic guitar, I did play really hard on my strings. I was actually doing a little bit of like manual distortion. There's ways that you can distort an acoustic guitar by how you play it. If you have some practice, right? So I was playing real hard into the strings and intentionally getting some fret pops and buzz. And that's a way you can actually distort an acoustic guitar in a live setting without other stuff going on, right? Because this is, I mean, Mr. Avant's got a rock background. We wrote a rock song, right? A rock ballad.
That could be a pop ballad at the same time, too.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
you want to slow it down, and if you just make, like, say you use those exact same chords, and you just make a prettier, more drawn out, kind of dreamier sort of instrumental to it.
Yeah.
And once again, based on the way that you sing it as well.
So our chorus, we were singing a rock chorus a second ago. So I'm rising above, right? That sort of light, Billie Eilish, floaty kind of thing like that, you know?
Yeah. Or, like, keep it down the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm rising above. Stay your love. I found myself, this much is true. Finally, I'm over you. I'm rising above.
Right? Pop songs tend to have the vocal harmonies.
Yeah.
They tend to have a lighter, fluid little thing to it.
Listen to like "Love Yourself" by Bieber. That stays down the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Like I was talking about "Say Something" by Great Big World. When that song, it does go up later in the song, but it begins with a very low, minor chord. Say something, I'm giving up on you.
Right.
See that? And
Yeah,
so that
exactly.
prevents it from having to get too intense too early, which drags it back into that ballad pop genre.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you kind of keep it just a little bit more,
Dormant
subdued. Yeah,
for a little while,
and granted, we're probably not giving pop a fair shake. We did work. We worked on the rock one for an hour and a half. We worked on the pop one for 5 seconds, right? But you could definitely kind of tweak it and fit it with whatever style you want it to be.
It's true. I can honestly tell you that this song, same exact chords, Same exact melody. This could be a rock song. This could be a pop song.
It could be a country song.
Yeah, it could be a country song. Literally, just throw a little bit of twang on it.
I'm rising above. Like Blake Shelton could write that,
Yeah,
right?
he really
Yeah.
would. Like, let's pitch this to him. Let's see how much he'll get.
Escape in your love. Right? I found myself. This much is true. Right? Okay. Like, so you could make your chords don't necessarily decide your genre. Your tempo doesn't necessarily decide your genre. Your lyrics don't decide your genre. And like, you can prove this by looking at songs that are covered in multiple different genres. And you can see how they work in each of those scenarios, in each of those settings. So if for whatever reason, like I said, we decided just somewhere along the way to write a rock song today, but if you want to write a pop song or a country song or an R&B song or whatever, then you just put your own styling to it.
Yeah,
right?
that's the big picture. Is that it's not about every component being different. It's about your performance of it and what adjective you are putting in the performance. Like I said, like this entire structure right here, it can be multiple genres, but it's based on how intense you want to make it be.
Yeah.
That same E minor C G D.
That's in like every genre.
That's in
ever.
every genre that exists, as far as I know, except for maybe like jazz directly.
Oh, but you know what? You could make it jazz.
Yeah. Put them 7 chords in there. Look at that. And now it's a Michael Bublé album.
Yeah, we could even make it a little more like up-tempo jazz. Right? So, I mean, like that's like contemporary jazz right there, but you can put it into whatever with some very, very slight alterations. So I hope this was beneficial to you. I hope that this was a good experience for you to kind of get an idea of what songwriting looks like in real time with no preparation. In fact, Mr. Avant even wanted to talk to me about this lesson today. I'm like, no. We can't talk about it. It has to be purely on the spot, purely organic. We've never written a song before until today. Well, I mean, independently we have, but not together.
Yeah, not together.
Yeah. We've written songs before, but together we've never written a song until today. I don't know. Maybe we should finish it at some point in time. Maybe we should track it out or something.
I am 100% down.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So much fun.
That'd be good. So in all of our enormous free time, with our jobs and our kids and all of that. But the idea then is you go home tonight and you take the first step. You take the first step, you write the first section, you write the first line, you write the first chord progression, whatever it is. I recommend starting with lyrics, which is what we did in our last lesson, but today we started with chords, and you could see it work just as well. If you've got a great melody in your mind, you can start with that. But tonight, write the first piece.